Lawyers of Reddit, what was your "oh shit" moment in court? Sat in on a personal injury case where the plaintiff broke their leg in an accident and had a doctor on the stand as an expert. The woman's lawyer begins questioning the doctor about their experience with leg injuries. He was a well-known orthopedic surgeon in the area. She asks if he's ever treated a tibula fracture, the leg bones are tibia and fibula, to which he only answers no. Then she starts grilling him with questions about the tibula. After about 6 to 7 questions she asks, how did you get a medical license and have been able to practice medicine this long if you've never treated a tibula fracture, and begins a small rant about going after his credentials and those that gave it to him, to which he simply responds, there is no bone named the tibula. The lawyer became beet red and everyone in the room tried their best to keep from laughing, including the judge. Oh God, I can feel the second-hand embarrassment. I think this qualifies, though it wasn't me, that was the lawyer. Got called for jury duty. Was at the jury selection phase, and they asked if anyone here thinks they should not, blah blah. Defendant was in the room. I raised my hand. The defending lawyer looked at me like, oh, this oughta be good, and asked me to explain. I suggested I tell them in private. He insisted I tell the courtroom. I said, okay, I probably shouldn't be on this jury because I was on a previous jury for this man which returned a guilty verdict. Lawyer's face went, oh shit. Commotion and a wait while they looked up records. Yep, verified. Whole jury was now tainted. Everyone goes home, and they start over. After reading other stories in this thread, it sounds like you saved yourself quite a tongue lashing by suggesting that it be in private. Not mine but my boss's one. She had to defend a small-time delinquent as duty solicitor. Before going to court he asked her what he should do. She explained to him if he was cooperative and truthful his sentence would be milder. After hearing the case the judge asked him if he wanted to add something. He got up and explained to the judge, my counsel told me to be truthful, so I wanted to tell you that I not only did the robbery I'm being heard for but also several others in the region. He continued to admit to several robberies that had been unsolved yet and everyone, even the state attorney, were facepalming. I suspect the truth did not set him free. Literally the first thing I ever did, was just a law student intern. Guy has a legit defense on a drug possession case. Drugs found in a jacket, guy wasn't wearing jacket, they were going to have a very difficult time proving the jacket belonged to my guy. Had a long meeting with client. Explained everything. Client was excited. Day of the preliminary hearing, guy shows up and sits down directly in front of the officer who arrested him. While wearing the jacket in question, the exact same jacket we were going to say they couldn't prove belonged to him. Was in court for a directions hearing. The judge was already in a bad mood and asked why we were here for such a seemingly pointless litigation. Without giving details, he was right. The barrister starts to make our case, and I am taking notes about areas we need to further explore when I hear, excuse me, why were you so rude to me? The client, who had been told to not come, had come to court that day and was evidently incensed by the judge questioning the merit of their case. They berated the judge for about 3 minutes, with me and my co-counsel first stunned and then trying to shut them up, before he adjourned the hearing. The case did not go very well, to my client's surprise and fury. Big sigh. Not me but my former law partner. She was in court representing a client, I think in a hearing for a restraining order against her soon-to-be ex-husband. Our client was telling the judge that when they met to exchange the children for visitation, the ex had kicked her. He immediately angrily shouted, she can't prove it, I didn't leave a mark, thanks, buddy. 2 moments in a DUI trial. 1. Panger is testifying for driver's sobriety when the DA asks her, you keep saying he was sober, but are you even TIPS certified, a course for bartenders so they can recognize drunk patrons? She was. 2. The head of the county's blood lab accidentally admitted he cranked the sensitivity of his machines way up because he was experimenting. On 2. Thanks, Krieger. Person I was representing was on trial for alt in the 3rd degree and DUI. In my state, A3 means you've alted an aid worker or police officer and is a felony. The allegations are that he was very verbally abusive to the officers and, at one point, kicked one in the face. We're sitting at the defendant's table and the officer is testifying about the statements my guy made to him, including some pretty horrific name-calling. Out of nowhere, my client screams, "You're a fing liar, F you, you son of a b." We lost that trial. Another time, the judge asked a client whether anyone had coerced him into pleading guilty, and he said, "Yeah, my attorney, I about shit my pants," but he laughed and said, "I'm joking." No. Are jokes like that taken at face value, or was the judge cool with it? Opposing counsel was a nightmare. Everything late, his work was extremely subpar, and so forth. Accused me of lying multiple times when he had dropped the ball. During another hearing in which he did another dumb move, judge says, "I'm glad you are the last case on the call, and all of the other attorneys have left the room, so they aren't here to hear me say that you are a terrible attorney." During jury selection. I can't be a juror due to the fact I'm kinda racist. Watching a hearing when the defendant said, I did stab her. But it was a gentle stabbing. Reminds me of something I read on here where the person said, "I hit her with a knife." Stabbing. That's called stabbing. I was the Doomba that almost screwed myself. I had 2 charges in 2 different courts. I accepted the first plea, which almost always carries probation, but my plea didn't have that condition. When it came time to accept the second plea, the prosecutor didn't include probation because she owned my first charge put me on probation. She said as much to the judge, and me being a big dummy almost corrected her. My lawyer grabbed my shoulder and, I shit you not, told me to shut the F up, she doesn't know. You almost became that kid that reminds the teacher about homework or an essay that's due. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to say too much, but basically, on charges of growing marijuana, stated he was growing herbs for medicine and gestured air quotes with his hands and then whispered, "I kid you not, marijuana, bro." Never ask a question to which you don't know the answer. Prosecutor suggested to me client that the canned goods he had burgled were to be used to trade for drugs. Me thinking the idea ludicrous asked my client whether he has ever traded food for drugs. To which he replied that he once exchanged a frozen chicken for heroin. Needless to say, I didn't win that one. This is so true and sucks so bad in family court hearings because there's so rarely an opportunity to know how the witness is going to testify.